he started the entirety of the vaccines cause autism nonsense because he wanted to be the one profiting off of the vaccines. The entirety of the vaccine autism skepticism, or whatever you'd like to call it, it all started in the UK, unfortunately. And it started because one guy wanted to make money by separating the MMR vaccines and trying to prove that they needed to be split up over a period of time to be safe. It started from a guy wanting to make some profit. All my homies hate Andrew Wakefield. Do I have to play the entire documentary from Hbomberguy again? Maybe I'll play a little bit of it, and then maybe if you guys are feeling for it, we can watch even more. Maybe. Yeah, he pushed an entire... He started the entirety of the vaccines cause autism nonsense because he wanted to be the one profiting off of the vaccines.
Don't worry, vaccines are perfectly safe. According to me, you might notice a little prick. Hello and welcome back to hell. I'm just vaccinating my profiteroles, immunizing them against the horrendous disease known only as not enough cream.
British food be like.
Unfortunately, while vaccines are great at stimulating my balls,
Can I be honest with you guys? I hate when they make the baked potatoes and all the ingredients are cold. Does that make anyone else depressed, or is that just me as like a stupid dumb American? I hate when they put the cheese on and the cheese is like unmelted and cold. It makes me so sad. The only thing that should ever be cold is sour cream. And that's it. Everything else is supposed to be warm.
humans, they've become quite the controversial topic. In the late 90s, an anti-vaccine movement started to pick up steam, claiming that they cause autism. And the movement has plenty
You're right, and you should say it, thank you.
of washed-up celebrities flushing it, including what's-his-name, and that one, and some more. Here's 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, coming out against medicine. He once famously tweet, "No more massive injections. Tiny children are not horses." I mean, of course they aren't. Horses aren't even real. But if there's an entire movement of people with documentaries and websites and Facebook pages with thousands and thousands of members, backed by the former US president, why does everyone else seem to think they're obviously wrong? Has the mainstream medical establishment, science, cucked a majority of people into thinking they're safe so they can keep making money selling them? The vaccine debate is complex and multi-layered and hasn't been resolved for over 2 decades, so obviously it needs me to come and put an end to it in the space of a single YouTube video, by doing what I'm best at, destroying things with my mouth. Oh, hi, Mum. Was I vaccinated?
Have you been looking into moving out lately, son?
Now, the clever clogs among you will know that there was an anti-vaccine movement of sorts in the 1800s when they were
Yeah, I've seen enough. Vaccines definitely cause autism.
first introduced, but that movement died out on its own a long time ago. Of smallpox. The main argument in the modern movement is that they might cause autism. So let's see what, on paper, this claim is supported by. Yes, I just ended a sentence with a preposition, and if that annoyed you, we get it. Your school was expensive. We're all very happy for you. Part 1. The easy version, in case you don't feel like watching this whole fucking video. In 1998, a study came out alleging a link between the MMR vaccine and autism. MMR vaccinates against measles, mumps, and rubella, which saves kids from having to get multiple painful shots and parents from having to know what rubella is. It was published in The Lancet, a very well-known medical journal, which made it seem credible. However, the paper was eventually found guilty of being bad. The science turned out to be bonkers, and multiple other studies on literally millions of children did not show that there was a link, and the paper was eventually retracted by the journal that published it. So retracted that it literally has retracted written all across every page in...
Sorry, really quickly. Some chatters were talking about, like, religious exemptions. Trust me, I am aware of religious exemptions. I was trying to find the exact case that I had written a paper on. the shortest version of it is that there is this strict scrutiny test when it comes to imposing requirements on individuals and citizens. And there are exceptions to the rule. But vaccines would be one of the exemptions that would allow you to force people regardless of their religious identity, because there is no other remedy to give. There's nothing that someone can take outside of a vaccine, or rather that the Constitution has in it the ability for us to demand this. Not that there are not people today using religious exemptions. Okay? Like, I'm trying to think of like a good, like just a random ass analogy. Just a totally random ass analogy. No one is stopping you from going to the grocery store and buying 1,000 bananas. No one's doing that. No, you can go to the store and buy 1,000 bananas, right? The produce guy might, probably not. They don't have 1,000 bananas. If they had theoretically 1,000 bananas, you're overestimating my purchasing power. Just because it's not happening doesn't mean you can't do that. If we have in the Constitution carved an exception for instances when people's religious freedoms may be ignored or prohibited, I don't know the exact wording here, you can impose requirements on these people regardless of their religious freedoms. Like, it already exists that we have this as a possibility. It doesn't mean that currently right now there aren't schools there aren't like religious schools that you don't have to get your kids vaccinated at, or that there aren't people right now doing that. Because I saw like one person writing this stuff, and I'm not talking about whether or not it's happening. I'm talking about whether or not we can make it never happen. There are multiple exceptions. Denims, yes, you can. There are exceptions. There are multiple exceptions. The exemptions depend on the state. Also, many of these religious communities homeschool their children. So yeah, there was, and then I saw like some people being like, as a teacher, there are definitely kids that have religious exemptions that they don't have to do that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about whether or not it's happening. I'm talking about whether or not we can enforce mandated vaccinations. So I remember reading about this case. The short version of this case is that I'll read the background of the case. Sherbert, a member of Seventh-day Adventist Church, worked as a textile mill operator. 2 years after her conversion to the faith, her employer switched her from a 5-day work week to a 6-day work week, including Saturdays. But according to her belief, it forbade working on Saturdays, Saturdays being the Sabbath. She refused to work for that day and was fired. She couldn't find any other work, applied for unemployment compensation. Her claim was denied, even though the state's ineligibility provisions exempted anyone, whether religious or not, who was unemployed for good cause. The decision of the South Carolina Employment Security Commission, chaired by Charlie Verner, was affirmed by a state trial court and South Carolina Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court found that the government's denial of her unemployment claim was an unconstitutional burden on the free exercise of her religion. And the idea here is, can the state get or can a person still get what they want and the state get what they want despite the religious freedoms, right? Is there some other workaround? Like maybe she would be down to work theoretically like Sundays or whatever. Enshrining religious liberty was a mistake. You can tell that to France. I would proceed with caution with this idea. But continuing, let's see here. In Sherbert, the court set out a 3-pronged test for courts to use in determining whether or not the government has violated an individual's constitutionally protected right to the free exercise of religion. You can skip some of this stuff. This is the most important thing. However, not all burdens placed on religious exercise are constitutionally prohibited under the test. If the first prong is passed, the government may still impose the burden on the individual's free exercise if the government can show it possesses some compelling state interest that justifies the infringement. I would say children not dying and having measles outbreaks is a compelling state interest to ignore people's religious freedoms. When there is a prevailing government interest, religious freedoms matter significantly less. The only point that I was making was I wasn't saying, no one has any religious exemptions in the United States. Are you dumb? That's not what I was saying. Do people currently use religious exemptions to get out of vaccinations? Obviously, yes. However, we have in writing that if there is a compelling enough reason, your religious freedoms do not matter more than this compelling reason. that would be to everyone's benefit, including the state's benefit. Paralegal student here, the underlying precedent for this case was Landmark Lemon versus Kurtzman, was overturned in a crazy case a term and a half ago. This would no longer be legally binding if they brought it to court, complete circus court. Yeah, but my understanding is that the strict scrutiny test still holds, that part wasn't overturned, which is the basis. And the basis of what I'm talking about is whether when the government has the ability to ignore your rights as a citizen. So thinking of like eminent domain. Yes, you own your property at any point. You own it, absolutely, except when it comes to the government. If the government's like, no, we want to buy a freeway, or we want to build a freeway here, they can just buy your house out, whether you want to or not. So it's a standard of review. It's not a rule. No, sorry, I misspoke. I didn't mean to say rule. Apologies. Does that make sense? Does the point I'm talking about make sense? That the idea that there is no way for us to have requirements against or impose some burden on citizens because of despite their religious freedoms. That's you got to look at Unemployment Division versus Smith, and then more recently Fulton versus Philadelphia. I think I read about versus Smith. And to the people being like, no, some of these things are overturned. Okay. And that's why we stack the court. And that's why we do exactly what we did with the gay cakes. Send a case directly to the Supreme Court and have it be overturned. This is like, okay. I understand what you guys are trying to talk about. Imagine if I was talking about Roe v. Wade and bringing up the way that Roe v. Wade was protected by the Supreme Court. And it was protected under the guise of privacy. And people being like, oh, Roe v. Wade was overturned, by the way. It's like, okay, no. I'm saying whether or not it's possible for the U.S. to have this as a rule. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Whether or not it is plausible for the United States to force people to get vaccinated. And I'm saying yes. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe I should have said that from the very beginning. I apologize. I don't think we ever said the government couldn't force people to. No, I was saying that, like, religious freedoms are not a good enough rule that, like, citizens shouldn't be protected from other people's religious right to not get vaccinated. Like, why the fuck should I live in this world where you guys just don't vaccinate your kids? What the fuck? I should be able to demand that my government builds a society that is safe for me. And there were people saying, no, you can use religious exemptions. And I was saying, okay, but all of the religious exemptions that we have gone back and forth and back and forth. We absolutely can mandate this and force this. For things like measles? For measles? Yeah. I should have the freedom to not get sick from your dumbass. Exactly. So, my name is so fucked for this conversation. Hepatitis, please stop. Does that make sense? All right. I hope that makes sense. Sorry, we took like so many twists and turns. I wasn't clear in the very beginning.
Big red letters. My printer just does black and white.
Basically, public good can, has, and should override religious freedoms. If you want the religious freedom to be able to use like a prayer mat in public, yeah, that doesn't impede anyone else's life. If you want the ability to take, a 5-minute break from work to pray, that doesn't impede anyone else. People take smoke breaks. The public good is not being harmed by someone taking a prayer mat out and praying for 5 minutes. However, you not getting vaccinated or you not getting your kid vaccinated for measles might get a bunch of other kids sick who are already immunocompromised or kids who can't get the vaccine. So actually, no, right? You're not allowed to sacrifice people to an altar because it's your religion. Well, I think that would be slightly different, but I don't know if that is also under the framework of public good or if that's just like, this is against the law in these other ways, but yeah.
So I've actually got an artist's impression of the real version. So far, that's some pretty shaky ground on the anti-vaccine side. But later, new evidence came out that... Oh, that's it. That's all the evidence. This segment is over now. Part 2, the existential horror of... Wait, that's it? No, seriously. That's all the evidence. There is nothing else even remotely credible. There are some fringe pet theories as to what chemical in the vaccines causes the autism, but since vaccines don't cause autism, they're kind of putting the cart before the squid here. The anti-vax movement had next to no evidence 20 years ago, and now they have even less. But hold on there, Daddy-O. Sure, you can sum up the entire issue in 52 seconds, wow. But really, I don't think that's good enough. Everyone who's anti-vax at this point has probably already heard and isn't convinced by the easy version. I mean, if you're on the fence about vaccines, you're not going to change your mind because someone told you there was a paper once, but it got retracted, no matter how much they pitch shift their voice in post. But what if you did want to change someone's mind on topics like this? The data on this issue is discouraging. Research shows that when someone becomes personally invested in an idea, they can become very close-minded, or worse, a YouTuber. Political science professor Brendan Nyhan and his team spent 3 years studying how over 1,700 parents reacted to various different attempts to convince them to vaccinate their children, and found that no matter what they tried, parents who started out against vaccination didn't change their minds. And worse, trying to correct false claims about vaccines actually made some parents more against vaccinating. Nyhan told The New Yorker, "It's depressing. We were definitely depressed." Now, as a fellow fan of logic and reason, I'm also doing great. But in today's particular, shall we say, socioeconomic climate, it's extra pressing that we figure out how to get everyone on the same page with regards to public health. So the purpose of this video isn't just to point out a group that's wrong about something. The real question is, when someone is wrong about something, not just this, how do you change their mind? Now, personally, I'm not sure how to do that. If it was easy for humans to change their mind about stuff, then this video wouldn't need to exist, would it? But maybe we'll find some answers by exploring what convinced people vaccines might be dangerous in the first place. We should probably begin with that old 1998 study, because let's be honest, how many people on either side of this discussion have actually read it? People don't read scientific papers. They check out the blogs or videos of people who they already agree with, and they tell them what the science said. And I mean, same. I heard all the other people say the science was bad, and I believed them. And the anti-vax people probably just believed whoever told them it was true. So, to be unbiased about this, let's really start at the beginning. Look at the original paper. That's the wrong page. Let's actually read this old paper and see what it has to say and come to an honest conclusion about its findings.
5 minutes late.
What the fuck? This is why people are against vaccines? This is the worst fucking paper I've ever read in my life! Right, let's talk about the study. I'm calling it The Study because its real title was Ileal Lymphoid Nodular Hyperplasia, Nonspecific Colitis, and Pervasive Developmental Disorder in Children, which is a bit of a tongue twister. I had to do a not insignificant amount of Googling to find out whether it's pronounced ileal or ileal. Don't know why I bothered. If I got it wrong, it's not like you would have noticed. The paper's lead author is Dr. Andrew Wakefield. I'm sorry, there's a mistake in my script. The paper's lead author is disgraced ex-Dr. Andrew Wakefield. Wakefield is seen by many as the founder of the modern anti-vaccine movement, since he was behind the paper that started the whole thing. Let's keep an eye on that. Oh, fucking. The smoke machine occasionally goes off on its own for no reason. I can't be bothered to get up. The paper's supposed purpose was to investigate a connection between bowel disorders and developmental issues in children, in particular targeting signs of autism. So first off, what's a colitis? Right, hold on. Okay, colitis is inflammation of the colon, one of the main symptoms of bowel diseases like Crohn's disease, for example.
Colitis.
By the way, we're going to use words like bowel, colon, and intestine interchangeably in this video. Don't let it confuse you, they're mostly the same thing. If you're a doctor, pretend you didn't hear that. The paper says non-specific colitis because it's not looking for specific kinds of inflammation. It's looking at whatever inflammation these children happen to have and seeing how they compare, because maybe they're all linked, and maybe they're even linked to the autism. According to Wakefield, he just happened to notice a lot of kids with both autism and bowel disorders, and he launched the study to investigate a possible link. But what does all that have to do with vaccines? I mean, surely it must have found something for it to have caused all this controversy. Well, allow me to list the paper's highly scientific findings. Some of the parents of the children in the study think they remember the autism symptoms starting after the MMR vaccine. No, really, that's it.
Findings. Onset of behavioral symptoms was associated by the parents with measles, mumps, and rubella.
Remember, guys, this was the original starting point of autism caused by vaccines. This is why all of this stupid shit started, by the way.
Vaccination.
For literally decades, right, I've been hearing about this paper, and I've assumed that there must have been something there, like something to at least explore or discuss or debunk.
You know, something that the study failed to recognize, and anyone with 2 eyes, I feel like, could have recognized this.
They should be kissing Denims' feet.
That as well. Both of these things are symptoms of being assigned hot bitch at birth. Because everybody knows hot bitches always have tummy problems and are autistic. So this is like, I feel like we're failing to recognize what the original root source cause of this was. You know? Chatter said, my wife's best friend is married to a big conspiracy theorist, and I learned a few weeks ago that their 3-year-old hasn't gotten any vaccines and he won't let him get any. Oh my god, I do have tummy problems and I'm autistic. See? Assigned hot bitch at birth.
Everyone lost their fucking minds over it, so surely there's something, and I finally go and read it, and it's just a bunch of fucking parents' opinions. There's just nothing there. I can't fucking believe this. Like, seriously, the disconnect between the attempts at real science and the stuff the parents think they remember is, like, so jarring. Like, next to colonoscopies and biopsies and graphs of urinary excretions, you'll suddenly get sentences like,
He received a dose of measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, the day after which his mother described a striking deterioration in his behavior that she did link with the immunization.
a note from your mother isn't science, it's how you get out of PE. I'm sorry, coach, I didn't really have polio. Maybe some home decorating will relax me. I love this poster because I'm smart, and now all my guests will know I'm smart. I have tons of guests, I'm a party animal, I have a charisma of at least 6. I wonder why The Economist interviewed ContraPoints and not me. There, perfect. Does that look all right to you? No, Rachel, don't wave the camera. That's not how people communicate. Page 3 of the study provides a table listing each child's behavioral diagnosis, largely autism, and also
My son has Crohn's. He has ADHD too. His grandmother, born in the early 1900s, also has Crohn's. Also, I love how we blame vaccines. Let's not look at the crazy chemicals in our water from our factories or whatever else has actually increased in the last century. Well, you know, like there's research that shows like, I don't think it's red 40. I think it's like yellow 5 or something like that. It's banned in the EU because it's linked to like attention problems in children, and it's not banned in the US. Like, I don't know, man. What if we looked at any of the stuff that we don't need that serves no, like, I'm sorry, yellow 5 serves no purpose except to better market candy. Like, also, red 40 is also not good, but I think, yeah, there's been like some studies that I've read that maybe link hyperactivity in kids, right? It's not like guaranteed, like this yellow 5 is definitely causing children to have ADHD. But like, it's just food dye. Like, we don't need that food dye. Why would we allow a product that literally serves no purpose at all, just so that the company gets to market their product a little better? It's like vaccines serve a real purpose. That they save millions of lives every year. There is no purpose to your red Skittle being a little bit more red, or your yellow Skittle being a little bit more yellow. Like, it's just not. It's not necessary. Or we can look at like nutrition that kids are getting, and that's probably impacting a lot of different things that we don't know anything about. And instead of looking at any of these things that actually might be impacting child development, it's got to be the vaccines. Like, it's so insane. It's like, it's so fucking crazy to me. And like, I don't know if you guys remember middle school and remember pizza day and like birthdays. I didn't care that the vanilla cupcake had no dye in it. I was just excited to be having cupcakes as a kid. This idea that like, no, the kids aren't going to be interested if the colors aren't as vibrant. It's like, it already is appealing. It's a sugary dessert. Like, they already are getting all the crack they need. Like, we don't need to die. Like, there is no purpose. It is not in the interest of the public good to have food dye that causes negative problems or might be linked to negative. We don't even need to do more research on it. It's like, oh, this thing that we don't need might be causing some problems. Why the fuck is it still legal? Fat kids have always been around. You don't need dyes to get kids to eat food. Exactly. Like, I understand, like, if there is something that's serving some public good and it might be linked to something else, yeah, sure, let's do more research. The second I hear that some food dye might be linked to developmental problems in children, that's all I need to hear. Oh, that was enough for, like, the EU to ban it? Great, we should ban it too. Huh? What? And then this is also failing to recognize that the reason I also pulled up that chatter was to talk about the fact that this is also the entirety of the conversation about autism or ADHD or whatever. It's failing to recognize the fact that if you don't test for something, you won't have people with those illnesses. And if you test for those things, you will find more people with those things. Because if you're not testing, how are you going to know that it exists? It's not that autistic people suddenly started coming out of the woodworks. It's that autistic people have always been around. We just didn't have a word for it, or like we didn't care about diagnosing it ever. It was just, oh, wow, here is this kid that's very obsessed with these things and kind of maybe, I'm not saying this has to be, this is the only archetype of an autistic kid, to be very clear. This is one archetype because autism is a spectrum. But like, here's this kid who maybe struggles to get along with other kids and only is really interested in these few things, and things outside of that comfort zone are very difficult. Maybe they're some type of neurodivergent. And in the past, it's like, hey, stop being a freak, Billy. It's like, oh, okay. I love to pull up, and you guys know I've pulled this up 100 times. But like, just because just because the only kids that were diagnosed with autism were kids that needed or people that needed a high support system, it doesn't mean that neurodivergent people or people on the spectrum weren't always around. We just didn't bother to diagnose kids who could do relatively well in school and could make like one or two friends. If you could make like one or two friends and you did okay in school and you were mostly capable of like effectively masking, no one was going to diagnose you. And I love to pull up, I don't know if anyone can guess what I'm about to pull up. I love to pull up this video. Inside the 40-year-long Dungeons & Dragons game.
Remember that game of D&D you started when you were 11? What if it never stopped?
My name is Robert Wardoff. I'm a history professor at the University of Western Ontario. I am a dungeon master for a campaign that has been going on for 40 years.
What began in secret with a few friends has turned into a game that takes up much of Robert's life and most of his house. Robert has around 30,000 hand-painted figurines, countless custom-made pieces of terrain, and dozens of devoted players taking part in his campaign.
If you're going to keep a game going for 40 years, it's going to have to be a good game. If you're going to have people who are going to want to play and are going to want to fly in, you're going to have to offer a product that is going to be better than all the other alternatives that are out there. I can certainly say with confidence that this is the best Dungeons & Dragons game in the world.
Yeah, the guy with 30,000 figurines. This guy is definitely neurotypical in every way. Like, we just didn't diagnose people who could mostly fit in with the rest of society. We just didn't do that. It's like, oh, okay, well, you can hold a job. You can communicate with other people. Like, he has like, I don't know if he's still married or what, but his daughter joined the campaign. He talks about how, like, this is the most autistic interaction. Well, this is like top 10 most autistic interactions you can ever see in a person. Let me show you guys. Here it is.
People's heart rates are up. There's emotion going on. So I can't be shocked and surprised when that character dies that there's a show of emotion.
Here, this part.
I have one daughter, and ever since she was a baby, she's been around this. I think maybe when she was 6 or 7 was the first time when she asked whether she could play. So she created a character as a fairy, and she still plays now. She's 20 years old. I mean, obviously, there's other stuff going on in her life, but she's been playing all the way through. The interesting thing happens when she starts dating and then her boyfriend wants to play. And of course I have to tell her straight off the go, now this relationship may not last forever, but the game's gonna last forever. So get ready, because I'm anticipating a situation when you break up with him, I can't break up with him. So once I allow somebody to come into the game, I'm never ever gonna stop them from playing the game. So sure enough, that situation happened. And so it can be a little bit awkward at times, but it means a lot to be able to have my daughter.
Well, the reason why I describe this as being an autistic quality or behavior is because neurotypical people I have found in my life, they will very strictly follow social rules no matter what. Even in instances where they don't want to follow the social rules, they will follow the social rules. And the social rules are you protect your own and you don't care. You care less about your interests than about this obvious social rule, which is once someone breaks up, everyone else is supposed to break up with that person too. All the friends and family members also have to break up with them. And he's like, well, listen, I will be there in any way that you need, okay? But if you guys just broke up because you had a disagreement and neither of you did anything wrong, I can't stop him from playing. You didn't do anything wrong. Like, you wanted more from that relationship. Okay. But like, why should I make him stop playing? I don't understand. Like, what should I don't feel the same pressures as a lot of neurotypical people. And I found this as well with neurodivergent people I've met in my life and autistic people that I've met in my life. They just don't care at all, or they care a lot less about like social pressures, or are very confused by social pressures, where it's like, but why should I give a fuck about that, huh? Well, did he do anything? Like, did he put his hands on you? Oh, you guys just argued or something and he doesn't get you enough flowers? Okay, but how does that, so why would that impact my D&D game? But I like his character, you know, so I don't know how that impacts my D&D game. What was I trying to say? History professor is also a very autism-friendly profession, yeah. Well, and then also, like, I think this is a good opportunity to say, and I want this to be a learning opportunity. As Shatter said, this is so mean for you to pull up in that context. Well, no, because I don't think being autistic is an insult. Like, I don't think it has to be, and I don't think it should be an insult. It's not insulting. It's correctly describing something. I view it the same way as describing something or someone as being a brunette. Like, you are a brunette. If your hair grows in brown, you're a brunette. If your hair grows in blonde, you're blonde. Like, it's not a disparaging comment. It's not like I'm like, oh, brunettes, filthy brunette. Like, no, that's just an accurate. Maybe somebody else is using it that way. I don't know, but that's just accurately describing someone. It's like describing someone and being like, this is a white person. It's like, doesn't have to be an insult. Now, within the context of someone bringing a dish at a potluck, and then the one dish at the potluck that has raisins in it is the chicken salad or the potato salad, I'm going to be like, which white person brought this? You know, I might say that, but saying that someone is on the spectrum is not inherently, or has to be, or should be anything other than a descriptor. Right? Also, maybe I'm just partial, but like, I'm not going to lie, guys. All of the people that I've ever been close to in my life, especially in my adult life, and have become really good friends with and have wanted to be really good friends with, every single one of these people has told me that they have gotten an autism diagnosis. So quite the contrary, actually. I feel like I get along with neurodivergent people very well. And I feel like I'm a blunt person, so I like to say, hey, this is where I stand on these things. And I find that neurodivergent people tend to prefer that. They tend to prefer you telling them what the rules are, and then they can follow those exact rules instead of some like vague social rules of like, you were just supposed to know this or something. So, never met a neurotypical person who read Homestuck. I know for sure I have ADHD. Okay, chat. That I know for sure. So yeah, like I just said 2 seconds ago, I don't think it has to be like an insult, and I never use it as I never describe things as being autistic as an insult. I describe them in a way that I think is accurate to describe them. Almost like kind of in an endearing manner, more than anything else. I told my therapist I think I have ADHD, and she was like, I know. Of course, Denims is neurodivergent. She reads textbooks in her free time. Anyways. All right, but the rest of this video is really good. I think it breaks down some of the problems with the original research that started all of this. You guys should definitely watch the rest of it because it is really good.